I'm Corinne Schaefer, and welcome to Create Outside the Box. If you're interested in watching this episode, please visit our Creative Operations YouTube channel under the playlist, Create Outside the Box. So, admittedly, this is going to be a shorter holiday episode of Create Outside the Box. We are very grateful at Creative Operations that we had a very busy and successful fall. We started off in September with a night at the opera, which was a collaboration with 3BR Distillery in Keyport, where we had a night of the greatest hits of opera, operetta, and musical theater, paired with delicious cocktails and mocktails by 3BR Distillery. And all net proceeds from that concert went to our Feed the Soul initiative. We had then the next month our third annual Feed the Soul in collaboration with Meal at Noon in Long Branch and the Backpack Crew in Red Bank, where we brought another free performance and free meal for those underserved members of our community facing food insecurity. So we had two very successful, very full performances. We saw a lot of growth this fall in our performances and our audience and the reach to our community. And we're just very grateful for that. And going into 2025, we're going to try and take a moment to look back at our successes, our challenges, and see how we can strategize as we move forward and as we grow so that we can continue bringing quality programming, but also be flexible enough to adapt to the audience's needs, the community's needs, and what's best for the nonprofit moving forward. So it's an exciting time, very exciting time. And believe it or not, we already have more programming on the docket for 2025. A new series that we're going to be doing, American Classics. So we're going to do a concert of Kurt Weill, George Gershwin, and Leonard Bernstein. And that's going to be in collaboration with the Seabrook Village here in Monmouth County in Tinton Falls. And we're hoping to provide a wonderful concert with immersive programming that will connect not only to the independent residents that live there, but those who are in assisted living or in memory care. So that's exciting. That's going to be at the end of May. And what's exciting for us with that program and with our goals for that initiative is the wonderful thing that Kurt Weill, George Gershwin, and Leonard Bernstein have in common is that these three composers are pivotal in really creating an American sound, whether that's an American sound for classical music, Broadway, musical theater, or pop music. I think it's really interesting that these three composers not only defined what American classical music and what American opera sounds like, but that they were so versatile and that they were able to cross so many genres. And I think that also helped make them and their music more accessible to audiences. And again, accessibility and breaking down stereotypes and boundaries around this art form is what Creative Operations is about. So we're definitely taking our cue from these composers. And what's great about having a performance of these composers and this music for a community like Seabrook is that there will be a lot of nostalgia, a lot of fond memories with a lot of these pieces, a lot of which are very popular pieces that are a part of the American Songbook. But it also allows us the opportunity to maybe showcase some lesser known treasures in their canon of works. So we're very excited about that. And we already have the fourth annual Feed the Soul on the books for next October. It's going to be Thursday, October 23rd. And we're very excited that this is growing into a yearly annual initiative that communities can rely on, because that's really our goal, And we found, because of a very generous grant from the APGAR Foundation, we were able to meet with the food pantries and discuss, okay, what's the best time of year to have this event for the community? And the overwhelming feedback after April's Feed the Soul was October. And you might be going, well, why October? Well, you have an extra hour of daylight. The weather tends to be better in October, which is really important for that community, a lot of whom are walkers. And because we had the funding, were able to pivot. We were able to not have the community have to wait a year and a half before another Feed the Soul. We were able to then pivot, do another performance 6 months after our April Feed the Soul. And we really found that small adjustment of moving it to October really did make a difference in turnout. And we were then also able to focus on outreach and connecting more with the community. And again, we're just very grateful for foundations like the APGAR Foundation or Monmouth Arts or any of you who have donated to Creative Operations, because having the funds for these initiatives and not worrying about where the money is coming from allows us to then have more flexibility in providing programming and being able to switch things up when we need to make that program fit the needs of our audience. So we're super, super grateful for that. So again, I wanted to take this opportunity not only to wrap up on a very busy 2024 for Creative Operations, where we had our spring Feed the Soul in April, a night at the opera this fall in September, and of course, our fall Feed the Soul in 2024. I wanted to take the opportunity to also answer some questions that I've gotten about Creative Operations. Now, one of the things that most people ask me about, because there seems to be some confusion, is, okay, there's Feed the Soul, there's Creative Operations. What is Feed the Soul? Is Feed the Soul the name of the nonprofit? Feed the Soul has gotten a lot of attention because it is our largest program to date. Again, we're going to be going into our 4th season of Feed the Soul in 2025, which we're very proud of. But Feed the Soul is a community performance initiative that's produced by Creative Operations. So it is one of the programs that we produce in addition to concerts like Berlin to Broadway, the Americana concert series that we put on, A Night at the Opera, and again, some of the future programming that I mentioned. And it all fits into our mission, which is to break down the stereotypes and barriers around opera and classical music and make it more accessible to communities who have limited access to these art forms. And that, of course, is our Feed the Soul audience, who are underserved members of the community who are facing food insecurity. It also includes people who may have, memory care issues or limited mobility to get to performances. I'm speaking of our project that will take place at Seabrook Village in May of 2025. It also means Monmouth County, New Jersey, and its surrounding areas, because let's face it, if you wanted to go see opera or hear classical music, you most likely would have to go to New York City or Philadelphia, and it gets to be expensive between driving or commuting into the city, going out to dinner. Tickets can be very expensive. So what we want to do is provide something that's affordable and accessible right here. And we try with our programming to also be innovative. So again, with something like Berlin to Broadway or A Night at the Opera, maybe you're not expecting to hear opera in a distillery, but this allows us to offer you a fun new experience. You're not locked into a 3-hour opera, and you can experience a lot of different styles within the opera and classical music genres. So again, limited access means a lot of things, and Feed the Soul is just one part of what we are trying to accomplish at Creative Operations. And that's also why we have the podcast. Create Outside the Box is literally about creating outside the box, and that there is not one path to creating art, being an artist, enjoying art. And again, we're hoping that these discussions inspire you. Maybe you learn something about not only the person, but their discipline or their journey. And maybe even if you're not a singer or you're not a visual artist or you're not a musician, you can still relate to that person's journey, because again, there's no set plan on how to go through life or have a successful career. And I think we can all learn from each other. And again, breaking things down and having these conversations and making it more accessible and okay to have these kinds of conversations around art, then there's a better understanding, not only of the art form, but of the artists who are part of the creative world, and that we're welcoming you to be part of that. So yeah, there are a lot of goals that we're trying to accomplish at Creative Operations. And again, we want to take stock in this past year and look at what our successes were, what our challenges were, and, look forward to the future and how we can grow to better suit you, our audience, and that we can continue to grow and offer innovative, interesting, and fun programming that's accessible and that's affordable, and that people enjoy. Because the arts are important. And I think sometimes certain art forms, whether it's opera, classical music, or ballet, get put on this pedestal, and we think, oh, that has nothing to do with us. That's some elite thing. And it's, at the end of the day, no, it's just, at the end of the day, all of it's storytelling. We're all trying to communicate a story. We're all trying to communicate an emotion. And we want to allow you the opportunity to share with us these art forms, and to know that you're very much a part of the story and part of the art form, and that it's for everyone and everyone should have access to it. So I just wanted to answer that, because I've gotten that question a few times this fall between our two performances of, what is Creative Operations doing? And again, because Feed the Soul is such a large part of our programming, how does it fit in to our overall mission? And who are we trying to serve? So again, we'll be strategizing moving forward, maybe ways to make that clearer. And again, we hope to continue to have great conversations. And speaking of great conversations, we've got some great guests lined up for the new year in 2025. So please stay tuned to Create Outside the Box. You can visit our YouTube channel, Creative Operations, under the playlist Create Outside the Box, to take a look back on some of our past conversations with our past guests. We have some really interesting people with varied experiences in various disciplines. I feel so lucky that I know all of these people and that I can share their stories with you. So thank you so much. Wishing everyone a very happy holidays. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Create Outside the Box. Please subscribe, rate, and share our podcast. You can listen to Create Outside the Box on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Check us out on our Creative Operations YouTube channel, where you can subscribe to watch our interviews. You can find and follow Creative Operations on our Facebook page and on Instagram at @CO_Creative Operations. For more information about Creative Operations, please visit www.creative-operations.org.